Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Something Something podcast. My name is Eric Kasloff, and with me, as always, is Larry Sands. And if you're watching a video of this, you're noticing two other guys, John and Scott Johnson. How's it going, guys?
Going good, man. How y'all? How you guys
Okay,
doing?
Oh,
Larry, we've got a pretty cool announcement involving the film festival and paranormal convention. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
absolutely. I am so excited. We, John and Scott, we met you guys here on the podcast, on the Something Something podcast. I don't know. It feels like it has been a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Talking to you guys about your horror background, your filmmaking background, and how you guys met Eric at New Jersey Horror Con.
Mhm.
And when Eric and I started to talk about doing our horror film festival and paranormal investigation thing, we we from the very start had said, okay, let's start this. And then we and Eric was just like, we should
Yeah.
absolutely ask the Johnson brothers because you guys are number one, amazingly talented,
Yes,
and number
100%.
two, probably the nicest guys that we've ever met.
Yeah.
So,
You take that back. Shut your damn
and
mouth.
and when we finally started to put this thing together and get everything lined up, you were one of the first filmmaker that we contacted, and luckily for us, you guys said yes. And
Absolutely.
actually, I should say you said yes because we wanted you to be judges of the short films, feature films, and the paranormal, like the documentary stuff
Yeah.
coming in. And so that was absolutely amazing for us. And we're talking to you guys about maybe even showing one of your guys' feature films,
Yeah.
right? And I know you guys are in the throes of post production, and maybe even have something, with your newest horror film, maybe a trailer or something to show at the festival. So, um, I mean, it's absolutely amazing, and I feel like I talk a lot, so I'm gonna let you guys talk, and really, this is on our something something podcast, but this is gonna go up on our YouTube channel for um, the horror festival, and probably even go up on our Instagram and
Yeah.
and Facebook. So tell everybody that is watching and listening a little bit about your background um, in horror filmmaking.
All right. Yeah. So I grew up watching horror movies. It was my favorite pastime. I grew up in a small town in Texas. There wasn't a lot of people, so I just kind of fell into. There was something about horror movies that just made me feel a certain way, like the scare of it and the fright of it. Being a young child, um, so I've always had just horror in my life. Loved it, and then I think in 2014 there was a brand new film festival that came here to Charleston, South Carolina, where we live. It's called the Crimson Screen Horror Film Festival. It was a first year fest, and I think it was either for his birthday or for Christmas. I got Scott ticket. He and I both tickets to it, and it was a 2 or 3 day event. Yeah, and we sat down, and I don't think we missed a single film.
Wow.
All the shorts, all the features. Because they had food trucks there, so we'd run out, grab food, come back into the theater, and for like 2 or 3 solid days, we watched everything, and we just fell in love with you know the whole aspect of it and indie filmmaking. And by the time it was over, we were like, I think that I would like to give this a shot and make a film. And I've always loved horror films. It was fun watching all the indie films, and I want to give it a shot. And so we did, and we started making films, and now we can't stop. It's an addiction.
That's awesome. Now you guys are award winners.
Yeah, we've had, let's see, several. I'm not sure how many. We've had several of our films between short and features that have taken home. I think all in all, we've got like Maybe 15 different awards for
Jeez.
between like 3 films or something like that. Um, and it's amazing, man. We love the whole aspect. We love making the film. We love submitting it and traveling to festivals and meeting other people like-minded. We love talking to you guys about it, being on your show. We met Eric. That's where we met you guys, basically.
Yeah.
Eric at New Jersey Horror Con, like you said. And, we've continued this. What was that like? How many years ago was that, Eric?
I want to say 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
Maybe 4 to be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and I mean, we still have this relationship between us. I mean, that's
Yeah.
why it's so fun to go and meet people, like-minded people, and it's just we love this in our lives, and we like sharing it with other people that think the same way. So
Yeah.
Remember the first conversation me and you had, John? We were talking about our movies, and you described yours, and I went, "So it's basically a Disney Channel movie," and you did the Disney Channel wand wave.
yeah, quite the opposite. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I remember that, but definitely not a Disney film at that point.
Yeah. We moved on to Hallmark Channel movies now, so
Oh, now you caught my ear.
yeah, a little more in depth, a little more emotional content.
A Christmas love story.
Yeah.
Hey, I love Hallmark movies, man, and not just the Christmas ones.
Set in a bloodbath.
Exactly.
That's true. That's true.
Actually, it is quite weird, and it just occurred to me. I mean, we all have been a part of filmmaking for a long time, and not only that, we're award winners. Everybody on this call, on this video, on this podcast is an award winner. You guys, John and Scott, you guys are award winners. Eric won.
Yeah.
What was it?
Second place at the North Bay Arts and Film Festival.
Nice, very cool.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool. And it's always thrilling. And I did a Waylon Jennings short documentary for the Zamoxis Film Festival. I got second place, so that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations to you too.
Yes, thank you. But it's always thrilling when you have, and maybe I don't know if it ever gets old to submit to a film festival, whether it's a short or a feature, and that feeling of you got in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's the greatest feeling. Like what Samantha, we got into the New Jersey HorrorCon the day we buried my grandma, and it completely, I mean, it changed. I was super depressed that day, but that, man, what that did for me. And we're as young, we're still, young filmmakers in a sense, and we're still hungry, and we know that feeling of someone acknowledging your art. And we want to give people that feeling of, oh my God, I got in, I made it, I did it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you have fun. There's different stages of making films all the way from beginning to end. And most people really enjoy the first part, the writing the story, the coming up with ideas. Then there's a lot of, grunt work, if you will, getting budgets, contacting people, getting props, getting the days of production. You're kind of on a high, a jazz. Then there's the post-production, which is slow and methodical. But then you end on a high because then you get to submit and you have that anxiety of, am I going to get in? And you get the acknowledgement that you got in, and it's really exciting. And then you get to go to a festival like you guys are putting on, and you get to meet other filmmakers, and everything beyond that is just amazing. But just going to a festival is the final culmination of what you've been working towards. So somebody else can see what you have been working on for the last 6 months or year or 2 years or however long it's taken you. And that makes it all worth it. It really does. Just being able to get into a festival and go with your comrades and colleagues all over, because indie filmmakers are such a tight-knit group. You can meet a filmmaker from Kansas or Idaho or Hawaii or wherever, you're England or Chile or wherever, and you all have the same experience. And the same connection. Even if you've never met them, there's at least some camaraderie there, and that's a really neat feeling.
Yeah, that brotherhood or sisterhood of filmmaking and being in the trenches and I mean that just gave me chills, man. What you were saying, and that's so true, um, because once a filmmaker, you're really always a filmmaker. You just
Yeah.
continue to learn, and even if you think, well, gosh, that's it, man. I made a movie. What else is there? You do your next movie or short, then you're like, oh my god, I didn't even know this, and I'm
Yeah.
learning stuff even more, and it's highly, highly, highly interesting to know that it's weird that we're putting this thing on and we're actually doing it, but
Yeah.
what makes it better than anything is not only are you guys going to be judges for the festival, right, for the films, we're going to have you guys do Q&As talking about I guess, could it be a horror horror experience making a horror film, in that when you look back on doing a film, and I'm sure you guys have looked back and you guys fondly remember making your films, but in the trenches and when you're doing, you're like, oh my god, what are we doing, what have I done, why am I doing this, um and just maybe touch on just some of those experiences that you guys would like to have, like the younger filmmakers, even the seasoned filmmakers, like some of the stuff that you've been through. If you can touch on a little bit of that, talking about maybe during your Q&A sessions or something.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody's got background information that they're going through. I mean, experiences, and everybody has downfalls and uplifts and low points and high points. And so as soon as you bring up one topic, everybody in the room is going to say, oh, yeah, I mean, me too, right? Me too. So, yeah, but that's the fun of it. That's, I think, what brings filmmakers together. The first year that John and I went to the film festival, what we were impressed with was it was such a close community of people that didn't know each other, but everybody was very supportive. They were
Yeah.
willing to share. They were willing to acknowledge your work, even if it was terrible. I mean, our first films were terrible. I mean, everybody admits that, but everybody's is, and that's the thing is even if you're an experienced filmmaker, their first films were bad and your first films were bad, so they know what you're going through. It's a bonding experience, even if you don't genuinely bond. You have that hidden connection there, that
Yeah.
you know is there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there any lasting things as we wrap up, talking about the festival? Anything that you want, filmmakers in particular, anybody watching this, to know? Um, I mean, it's just, it's always a little, you get a little skittish, you get a little scared, right? Thinking that, well, this is my first time, or I don't really, I want to do a film, I want to do a short, I don't know where to start. So, do you have any words of wisdom to young filmmakers, like looking to do their film, or even having a thought of, because it's like what you said, John. You grew up in Texas, in a small town, and this is true, I think, for everybody that grows up, whether you're in New York City, right, or small town Texas. They want to do something, but they're scared because fill in the blank. What would you tell somebody, John and Scott, about just doing your thing and having the brass cojones to do it?
I would definitely say that there's a lot of areas that people could be, it at times could seem almost impossible, whether it's from, getting a whole crew and starting to, like, where do you start? How do you reach out to actors? I don't know any actors, or I need a whole bunch of people to help me. The important thing is maybe like step back and don't look at the entire process, and just put your head down and start and go to work and then continue. Because, everybody goes through the same things, which is there are times when it seems a little bit overwhelming. As long as you just chip away and keep on going forward, you'll get to where you want to be. And, like Scott was saying, everybody has the same processes that they go through. I know we've done this, and recently a good friend of mine, Christopher Bickle, he was in post-production of his most recent feature film, and I was a part of his social media group that just kind of explained where they're at, from time to time. It was a private group, and I had nothing to do with the film, but I enjoyed being a part of it. And I would see posts that he would, put out there that would say, I'm here, this sucks, I got to redo some audio, or, I've been going at this film editing, day after day, and now I'm starting to think that the film sucks, and I don't even know if anybody's like it. And so, and when I was reading that, I'm like, dude, I know exactly what you're talking about. And then his film was finished, and I saw it, and it was awesome, and everybody loves it. And it's like everybody has their doubts, and everybody gets overwhelmed, but as long as you continue to go forward, and make sure to finish it, it's gonna be awesome. And you just gotta realize that whether you're in your low points or feel overwhelmed, just keep going forward.
Yeah. And you guys being brother filmmakers, what Scott, this is a good question. What differentiates you guys? Are you guys good at the same thing or a little bit better in one area of filmmaking?
Yeah, actually, it worked out very well for John and I. We at the beginning when we started our filming, we didn't really discuss necessarily like, we need an editor, we need a cameraman, we need a writer, we need a director, we didn't really discuss that. We just naturally fell into roles that we were good at. And it turns out that we had complementary skills. So he's very good at directing and camera work and coming up with the story ideas and knowing what he wants to see on the film. And I had more of an inclination towards the technical parts, the editing of it, the lighting part of it, the sound part of it, etc. And we'll both help each other on those things, but it worked out very well that we weren't competing like, no, I want to write this one. No, you want to write this one. So that was actually very nice. I don't imagine that everybody goes through the same process.
Yeah.
I just read, I know this seems unrelated, but I just read last night that Sean S. Cunningham, who was the mind behind Friday the 13th, actually helped get Wes Craven his first role. And Cunningham was working on a movie, it wasn't a horror movie, and needed an editor and hired one, Wes Craven, to do a movie. I think it was called Together. The next film they did together was The Last House on the Left. And they switched roles a little bit, though. Wes Craven ended up being the director of that, and Cunningham was the producer and the financial backer. But they worked together, and they were able to alternate what roles they had in different films, and both of them were successful. So it's interesting how if you have good communication among your group, you can either alternate or work together or have complementary skills. And so everybody doesn't have to be a director all the time.
Yeah.
But fortunately for us, it works out well, even with the things we do, we just naturally fell into that. So that was nice.
That's awesome. That is,
that's the other thing that's great about film festivals. It is a great, I hate saying this, but a great networking opportunity. I mean, you can't just be that filmmaker, I don't need the network and meet. No, you do. You need to know other filmmakers because they're going to be better at you than certain stuff. Or you might see their movie and go, wow, that actor's really awesome. I would love to work with him. And then you have a connection there. And then you just get to meet people who understand the struggle.
Right.
No one understands the struggle filmmakers have like other filmmakers. I mean, there's been times when the four of us have talked off mic and it's been like therapy sessions. It's like, what that feels like too?
Yeah, it really is. That's true. That's true.
And also meeting other filmmakers at this thing is just a lot of fun. The thing I could probably liken it to most is like maybe being on the Warp Tour and meeting other bands and just hanging out and learning and just
Yeah.
partying at times.
Yeah.
That is something to be said, because the Warp Tour, you go and there's all these different bands, right? And now you go to like Coachella, and then there's like hard rock, there's like rap and all that. And one thing that is worth mentioning, I think, is we're adding the paranormal. Uh, Not only are we doing investigations, but whether they have like paranormal movies, obviously,
Yeah.
even documentaries, because we've been hit up on social media asking if we take paranormal documentaries, and it's like, yeah, of course, because that's part of the creative process. But I think that's also one of the big aspects of putting this together, because not only are we bringing like horror filmmakers, but we're also bringing documentary filmmakers that do the paranormal, and they
Yeah.
they document themselves going out. And I think that's a giant aspect, because now with the I don't want to say the invention or the rise of, say, like ghost adventures or ghost hunters, right? That it's so prevalent now. People are just picking up their cell phone or their little flip cameras or whatever. Now they've got like probably black magics and all that going out, you know? But that is worth mentioning, is it's not just horror filmmaking, it's paranormal investigation and ghost hunting videos,
Yeah.
little documentaries that people have put together. And that excites me, because that that in a sense really brings in that paranormal documentarian, and to actually go and talk to you guys and have a Q&A, ask about cameras that you use, how do you do your audio, what do you edit on, right? Even it excites me, and it
Yeah.
tickles me to no end, to know it tickles me. I can't believe I said that.
Tickle your fancy, Larry.
Hey,
I know. But it just excites me all over to know that, number one, you guys are oh my gosh, man, you guys have really, like, you know inspired me to be better,
Yeah.
and at what I do, and getting us out there and getting you guys out there for the film festival. So, and we always say, you just say yes and you don't know where it leads. And Eric and I think with our podcast, especially with our film festival, we're just like, yeah. And you guys said yes, absolutely. And it's just, I mean, let's just see where it goes. Obviously, we're going to see where it goes,
Yeah.
but to have you guys just say yes is just absolutely amazing. So thank you again.
Oh yeah, thanks
thank you
for reaching
inviting
out.
us. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. This is going to be exciting. This is going to be exciting. And we love, by the way, we love the idea of the paranormal inclusion in this, because I find we had a Q&A some years ago where an audience member asked a question. Has Our audience is scared of different things now? I mean, it used to be in the 20s, a train coming at the screen would tear
Yeah.
the audience, but we don't anymore. So you have to progress what is considered scary. And there's still different genres of horror. You have, gore hounds who love the blood and the gore. You have the paranormal group that love what is the unknown entity that's creating something, right? You have, religious horror and comedy horror and all kinds of different stuff. So the fact that you're bringing in paranormal into this is not a surprise at all, but is very nice, because the paranormal investigation brings a realism that the horror films don't. So you have a tied in genre, but different levels of reality. And that's fantastic. I think it's a great tie in.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And like whenever we talk to you guys, it becomes an impromptu episode of the show. We've gone on pretty long, and I know we're all busy today. We just want to thank you guys again for saying yes to, the festival and also just being our friends. Remember everybody, like we said, the prices have dropped for the festival. You can see them in the description or when you go to the Film Freeway page. Because again, we want to give everybody the opportunity to get their work and their art seen. And again, I want to thank the Johnson brothers for basically doing an impromptu episode of the show today. This is a quickie. Thank you guys so much. And hey, normally I close the show would be excellent to each other, but I'm going to change it. Go out there and submit your work. Thank you guys, and everybody have an awesome day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.